Good morning, students. Today we are going to see lesson 7 Indian economy, the continuation of the lesson, part 2. Okay, let us move on into the lesson. Today we will start with part D in the seventh lesson. Explain strong features of Indian economy. What are the strong features of an Indian economy? It is about the mix. India is a mixed economy, that is private and public sector works together for the economic development. And agriculture plays a key role. It's a main occupation of the Indians is agriculture, isn't it? 60% of the people in India depend upon agriculture for their livelihood. You know the struggles of the farmers who were struggling in Delhi, isn't it? An emerging market, that is about the market. India has emerged as a vibrant economy sustaining stable GDP growth rate, that is gross domestic product growth rate, even in the midst of global downtrend. This has attracted significant foreign capital through foreign direct investment and foreign investment institutions. Next, we will see about the emerging economy. That is a topic. Top economic giant among the world economy, India bags the seventh position in terms of nominal gross domestic product. So, India is in the seventh position in GDP and third in terms of purchasing power parity (PPP). Next one, fast growing economy. India is a fast growing economy, isn't it? India's economy is well known for high and sustained growth, isn't it? It has emerged as the world's fastest growing economy in the year 2016 to 17. Next one, fast growing service sector. The service sector contributes a lion's share of the GDP in India. There has been a high rise growth in technical sectors like information technology and BPO. BPO means business processing outsource, etc. All these are developing sources in India. Next one, large domestic consumption. Consumption means buying, isn't it? Large domestic consumption, when the production is more, there is large amount domestic consumption is there. With faster growth rate in the economy, the standard of living has improved a lot. So there is production, large number of production, income, employment, income, and so what is happening? The living rate, standard of living has been increased. Rapid growth of urban areas, that is urbanization. The people moving from villages to towns for the work, for jobs, isn't it? Employment. Urbanization is a key ingredient of the growth of any economy. So, India is a developing country. There has been a rapid growth of urban areas in India after independence. That people from villages are coming to cities for work. So, what is happening? The income, employment is increasing, the income is increasing, the standard of living is increasing, and the national income is increasing. Stable macro economy. Macro means large. The Indian economy has been projected and considered as one of the most stable economies of the world. So the Indian economy is large economy. Okay. Next one we will see about the important minerals resources in India. Iron ore, coal and lignite, bauxite, mica, crude oil, gold and diamond is found in are the main some of the resources in India. So let us see in detail. Okay. Iron ore. India possesses high quality iron ore in abundance. The places we will see hematite iron is mainly found in Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Odisha, Goa and Karnataka. Coal and lignite. So we are seeing in this question, we are seeing about the mineral resources. It's a rich resources in India. Coal and lignite, isn't it? Coal is the largest available mineral resource. India ranks third in the world after China and USA in coal production. So we are also having nice mineral resources in our country. India ranks third in the world after China, USA in coal production. The main centers of coal in India are West Bengal, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Odisha and Andhra Pradesh. Bauxite. Bauxite is the main source of metal like aluminium. Major reserves are concentrated in the east coast bauxite deposits of Odisha and Andhra Pradesh. Next, we will see about the mica. Mica is a heat resisting mineral which is also a bad conductor of electricity. It is used in electrical equipment as an insulator. India stands first in sheet mica production and contributes 60% of mica trade in the world. Crude oil. Oil is being explored in India at many places of Assam and Gujarat. Gold. India possesses only a limited gold reserve, that is, there are only three main gold mines regions in India: Kolar Goldfield, Kolar district, Hatti Goldfield in Raichur district, both in Karnataka, and Ramgiri Goldfield in Anantapur district, Andhra Pradesh. Diamond. Next we will see about the diamond. As per UNECE, the total reserves of diamond is estimated at around 4,582,000 carats, which is mostly available in Pana, Madhya Pradesh, Ramala Kota of Kurnool district of Andhra Pradesh, and also in basin of Krishna river. So in all these places we are getting diamond in India. UNEC is an organization, okay, so that organization is telling the details about diamond in India. Next we will see about the Jawaharlal Nehru's contribution to the idea of economic development. What he is telling about the economic development. First we will see he is telling about democracy and secularism. What is democracy and secularism? It is telling about the other contribution of Nehru to India, that is it's telling about the freedom. Democracy and secularism means it's telling about the freedom. Jawaharlal Nehru was a firm believer in democracy. He believed in free speech, civil liberty, adult franchise, and rule of law and parliamentary democracy. Secularism is another signal contribution of Nehru to India. Secularism and democracy means freedom. In simple words, it's called as freedom. In our country, there are many religions, that is Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, Jainism, Zoroastrianism, Sikhism, and so on, isn't it? And next one is telling about the planning. Planning means planning for the purpose of the economic development. Jawaharlal Nehru was responsible for the introduction of planning in our country. We saw in this last class also. To Jawaharlal Nehru, the plan was essentially an integrated approach for development. Planning is made for the economic development. Initiating the debate on the second plan in Lok Sabha in May 1956, Nehru spoke on the theme of planning. So, democracy and secularism means freedom, and it's telling about the equality among the people. Next, we will see about the democratic socialism. Socialism is another contribution of Nehru to India. He put the country on the road towards a socialistic pattern of society. But Nehru's socialism is democratic socialism. Democratic socialism means all are equal. Democratic socialism means all are equal. Next one we will see about the Gandhian economic ideas. What Gandhi said. First we saw about the Nehru's thoughts. Now we are going to see about the Gandhian economic ideas. First he is telling about the village republic. That is, he is telling village is the main part of India that is developing. To Gandhi, India lives in villages. He was interested in developing the villages as self-sufficient units. Self-sufficient means they must all have all their facilities by their own. Education, health, sanitation, food, everything. They must be self-sufficient means they must be able to get everything by their own. He opposed extensive use of machinery, urbanization and industrialization. Use of machinery means he doesn't like the machine-made products, and people moving from village to cities, he doesn't like that, and he hates industrialization. He hates industrialized products. On machinery, Gandhi described machinery as a great sin. He said that books could be written to demonstrate its evils. It is necessary to realize that machinery is bad. Industrialism, bad means it making the people very lazy, isn't it? Industrialism, Gandhi considered industrialism as a curse on mankind. He thought industrialism depended entirely on a country's capacity to exploit, means spoil. Decentralization. He advocated a decentralized economy, that the production at a large number of places on a small scale or production in the people's homes. That is small scale production at homes. Small scale industries. Then he is telling about the village Sarvodaya. That means real India was to be found in villages, not in towns or cities. And he is telling about the bread labor. Bread labor means making. Gandhi realized the dignity of human labor. That is, bread labor means they must work by their own. He believed that God created man to eat his bread by sweat or his brow. That is, the people must work and they must get their wages and they must learn, they must live with that, he is telling. He believed that God created man to eat his bread by the sweat of his brow. Then doctrine of trusteeship. Trusteeship means provides a means of transforming the present capitalist order of society into Egalitarian one. Present capitalist means only one owners, one leaders will be operating everything. Egalitarian one means equalism. On the food problem, Gandhi was against any sort of food controls. He thought such controls only created artificial scarcity. On population, Gandhi opposed the method of population control through contraceptives. On prohibition, Gandhi advocated sin prohibition on the. He regarded the use of liquor as a disease rather than a vice, isn't it? With this, we finish lesson 7 and we will start with lesson 8 in the next class. Thank you, students. God bless you all. Stay home, stay safe.